Hi, and welcome to the Full Spectrum Laser Training module designed for James Madison University. This informative training will give you all the knowledge you need to safely and effectively use the Full Spectrum Laser Cutter for all of your project needs. This training guide is split into 4 modules. First, we'll ensure that you're familiar with the Full Spectrum Laser Cutter and all of its parts. Module 2 will consist of important safety information you need to know when using the Full Spectrum Laser Cutter. Module 3 will give you step-by-step instructions on how to start up and use a laser cutter, and Module 4 will help you navigate the software that the laser cutter uses to create and cut shapes. After completion of the course, users will be able to demonstrate an understanding of all laser safety standards and regulations with 100% accuracy, activate all components of the laser cutter, including the laser cutter itself, air ventilator, water pump, and computer system each time, and demonstrate an understanding of the importance of preventative maintenance for the laser cutter with 90% accuracy. Additionally, after completion of the course, users will be able to identify all approved materials with the laser cutter with 100% accuracy, make appropriate cutting, setting, and nozzle adjustments with 90% accuracy, and successfully cut an object out of an approved material using the laser cutter with 90% accuracy. This certification program is broken up into 3 parts. 1. Complete the online training guide. 2. Pass the certification test with a 90% pass rate. And 3. Make your own certificate of completion using the laser cutter assisted by Tom Wilcox. Module 1. Breaking down the laser cutter. Module 1 Objectives. After completion of Module 1, users will be able to identify the major parts of the laser cutter with 100% accuracy. These parts include power functions, laser parts, external machines, and emergency stop buttons. Here we see a list of 10 parts to know and identify on your laser cutter. Work area lid with protective window, retina engraved control panel, mirror, laser head, magnetic safety interlock sensor, X cable carrier, emergency stop button, main power buttons, work area base, and autofocus plunger. At the top of your screen you can see number 1 labeled the work area lid with protective window. This is the lid you open and close when using the laser cutter. 2 shows the retina engraved control panel on the bottom right hand corner of your laser cutter. Next we see number 3 is the mirror. This is what the laser bounces off of to cut your materials. Number 4 is the laser head, which projects the laser itself. 5 is the magnetic safety interlock sensor, which is what ensures that the work area lid stays closed during laser cutter usage. If you look at the top left-hand corner on the laser cutter, you see number 6, which is the X cable carrier. This is the piece that moves the laser from left to right when you're cutting materials. On this diagram, we see a closer view of our laser head and our X cable carrier. Now let's take a look at the right corner where we see number 7. This is the emergency stop button. Should you need to stop the laser cutter at any time, press the button to engage and twist to release. Near the emergency stop button you'll see number 8, which is referring to the main power button. The main power button allows us to turn on and turn off the laser. The large black area behind number 9 is the work area base. This is where you will place the materials you're going to cut with the laser cutter. Lastly, on our laser cutter we see number 10, which is the autofocus plunger. This emits the laser cutter beam. Now that we've gone over parts inside the laser cutter, let's take a look at 2 important structures that stand alone from the full spectrum laser. First, we see the air ventilation system. This system is what filters smoke that is created by the laser out from the work area base. Equally as important is the water cooling system. This machine keeps the water coolant inside the laser from getting too hot. This completes Module 1. Now you're ready to test your knowledge. Module 2. Breaking down the laser cutter. Upon completion of Module 2, Users will be able to list the 4 materials that may be used in the laser cutter with 100% accuracy, and locate the emergency exit door, the fire extinguisher, and the fire alarm in the laser cutter space within 3 minutes of entering the area after completing the safety module. Now that you're familiar with the various parts and accessories of the full spectrum laser cutter, let's get into the most important part: safety. When used properly, the full spectrum laser cutter is a safe and effective way to cut through materials for your personal projects. Safety features in this instructional module include general safety precautions to observe while using the laser cutter, approved materials that can safely be used by the laser cutter, and fire safety. Here's a look at the space you'll be working in while operating the full spectrum laser cutter. Here's the emergency exit door should there be a fire. Notice the fire extinguisher located to the right of the door. Then we see the laser cutter and the computer you'll use to create vectors. Remember, this is a shared space that's also occupied by other machines and users. In order to prevent confusion, it's important to keep your workspace clean and free of clutter while using the full spectrum laser cutter. It's your responsibility to remain in the workspace while the full spectrum laser cutter is actively cutting. Be sure to always verify that both the air ventilation system and water cooling system are on before attempting to cut any materials, because most materials will produce smoke. Should you need to stop the machine at any point, you can use the emergency stop button by pressing the button to engage and twisting to release. It's also important to be aware that if you open the work area lid, that the laser cutter will immediately turn off. Lastly, don't forget that a laser is being emitted from the machine and you should avoid looking directly at the laser beam. There are 4 approved materials that can be safely cut with the full spectrum laser cutter. These are cardboard, medium density fiber, oak, and acrylic. Never attempt to cut or engrave any material containing PVC or vinyl, as they produce a corrosive vapor that's extremely harmful to humans as well as damaging to the machine. There's a significant risk of fire when stacking organic materials. In order to prevent fire, materials such as paper or oak should never be stacked in the work area base. Only attempt to cut one layer of material at a time. You've now completed Module 2. Now it's time to test your knowledge. Module 3. Starting and setting up your laser cutter. Module 3 Objectives. Upon completion of Module 3, users will be able to turn on the air ventilation system, water cooler, and other machines within 3 minutes of entering the ice maker space. Place the material to be cut in the top left-hand side of the laser cutter with 100% accuracy, and list and describe the functions of the 3 key machines that run in conjunction with the laser cutter with 100% accuracy. To begin, you'll need to turn on 3 different machines. First, you'll want to turn on the laser cutter itself by pressing the on button. Next, you'll want to turn on the air ventilation system. The air ventilation system has a green on button and a gray box on the bottom. This step is important because the laser will run if this is not turned on, which could be hazardous. Next, you'll want to turn on the water pump. Unlike the air ventilation system, the water pump must be on in order for the laser cutter to run. To make sure the water pump is on, check the green light on the machine. After all the machines have been turned on, you can now position your cutting material in the machine. To do so, open the lid of the laser cutter and place the material in the top left-hand corner of the machine so it lines up with the edges of the top left side. Next, close the lid of the laser cutter. Once the material has been positioned in the laser cutter, you'll need to go to the computer and open up CorelDRAW. Next, you'll want to open the Spectrum Laser software. Within the software, you'll choose to cut the material with the laser. To position the laser, you'll be using the computer software, but you'll want to look at the machine when positioning the laser to ensure you're cutting the desired place. Once the laser is properly positioned, you'll cut the material. Once you signal the laser to fire, Wait 10 seconds before opening the lid to allow any smoke to clear. Now you've completed Module 3. It's time to test your knowledge. Module 4. Using the software. This module covers the software used when creating a circular cut with a laser cutter machine. Two software programs are used when using the laser cutter: CorelDRAW and the Full Spectrum Laser software. In this module, you'll learn about each as it applies to creating a circle for the laser to cut. Module 4 Objectives. Upon completion of this module, the user will be able to locate and open CorelDRAW and the Spectrum Laser Cutter software within 2 minutes of turning on the computer, create a 1x1 vector drawing upon watching the laser cutter software simulation, and properly cut the vector circle using the laser cutter with 100% accuracy. To begin, open CorelDRAW, which is the green icon located on the bottom taskbar of the desktop menu. After CorelDRAW has been opened, select New Document on the opening screen. Here you have the option to name the document or continue with an untitled document. For the purposes of this exercise, we'll name the document Practice 1. Press OK to begin making changes in the document. Next, navigate to the Rectangle tool, which is 7 icons down on the left taskbar. Click on the Rectangle tool and choose the Ellipse tool from the options list. In the top left corner of the document, create your desired circular shape by first pressing and holding the Control button, and then clicking and dragging the Ellipse tool. Once you've drawn your circle, go to the scale factor to adjust width and height of the shape to 1 by 1 inch. Then change the laser outline width to hairline from the drop-down menu. To ensure an accurate cut, adjust the circle so the shape does not directly touch the edges of the document. To continue, you'll need to open the Full Spectrum Laser software. To do this, navigate to the blue triangle icon at the bottom desktop bar. Now you'll need to view your software simultaneously, so condense both windows so they can be viewed at the same time. The Full Spectrum Laser Cutter software should be on the right side of the screen and CorelDRAW on the left, so you can toggle between the laser cutter machine easier. Next, press the Home button on the Full Spectrum Laser software. This will send the laser back to its home position at the top right-hand corner of the machine. For the purpose of our training, the laser cutter lid is open. The Full Spectrum document is currently working in the Raster Engrave tab. Please change the tab to Vector Cut to continue. Now navigate to CorelDRAW, select File, then Print. The Print Settings dialog box should appear after you've selected the print option. Here you'll change the printer option to Full Spectrum Engineering Driver. Next, click Printer Preferences, then click Advanced Options and change paper size to FSL Pro Series 24 by 18. To save your changes, click OK again, and click OK in the last dialog box. Staying in the Full Spectrum software window, change the laser speed to 20%. Next, use the navigation control panel in Full Spectrum software to bring laser to desired start position on the top left-hand corner of the machine. This is where you'll toggle between looking at the computer screen and the actual laser to ensure that your laser is in its desired position. Press the green play button in the Full Spectrum software. Now your laser cutter will begin cutting your circle. Now you've completed Module 4. Let's go ahead and test your knowledge.